the President relinquishes the chair to our first Vice President, Clint Presley, who will preside during the first election of officers. Dr. Presley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nominations are now in order for the office of President. The chair recognizes Brother J.D. Greer.
Mr. First Vice President, it is my honor to nominate Ronnie Floyd for a second term as President of the Southern Baptist Convention. God's hand has been upon Pastor Ronnie throughout his first term as president, and I believe that he is the man that God has raised up to lead us for another year. I believe this for primarily 4 reasons. First, Pastor Ronnie has filled his first term with repeated calls to prayer. He knows that the needs in front of us are greater than we can supply, and that our greatest hope is the mercy of God for his church and his compassion for this generation. Every time I hear Pastor Ronnie speak, he lifts my eyes beyond what we can do to what we need God to do. He really believes that a move of God is possible in our generation, and he makes me believe it too. If there were ever a time the SBC needed that message, it is now. Even tonight, Pastor Ronnie calls us to get on our faces before God to lay hold of his willingness to pour out his mercy in our generation. Second, Pastor Ronnie possesses the convictional graciousness that we believe honors the Lord in our convention. I am amazed by the diversity of Baptists who call him friend and look to him as leader. Pastor Ronnie unifies Southern Baptists. He is clear on those matters of first importance and gracious in those matters of secondary or tertiary importance. He is a man who refuses to let anything obscure our focus on or unity around the gospel. Third, Pastor Ronnie loves young leaders. My first memories of Pastor Ronnie are of him reaching out to me as a very young pastor, taking interest in me, speaking courage and vision into my life. His focus is not only on the great achievements of our past, but the even greater possibilities of our future. Finally, Ronnie Floyd knows that the church's main thing is to exalt Christ by doing all we can to reach the lost. Jesus summarized his ministry by saying, "The Son of Man has come to seek and save the lost." I cannot be around Pastor Ronnie without developing a greater passion to see the lost reached and a greater conviction that God is willing and ready to use us to do it. That Pastor Ronnie was chosen to lead in the Great Commission resurgence a few years ago was not coincidental. Great Commission resurgence is the passion of his life. Pastor Ronnie believes the greatest days of evangelism are ahead of us, not behind us, and he makes me want to follow him. I believe Ronnie Floyd is the man whom the Holy Spirit has chosen for this moment, and I urge you to lend your continued support to him for a second term as president of the Southern Baptist Convention. He has served as pastor above reproach now for 38 years. He is a faithful father, husband, and friend. No one believes in more or works harder for the Southern Baptist Convention than Ronnie Floyd. He is like the Energizer Bunny. Plus, he is, with the exception of Clint Presley, the best-dressed man in our convention. So I hereby nominate Ronnie Floyd for a second term as president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Dr. Ronnie Floyd has been nominated. Are there further nominations? There are none. Whereas there is only one nominee for the office of president, the chair recognizes the registration secretary to cast the ballot of the convention for Dr. Ronnie Floyd.
Thank you. At this time, there are 5,277 messengers represented at the Southern Baptist Convention. And because there's only one nominee for the office of president, it is my high honor and privilege to cast the ballot of this convention for Dr. Ronnie Floyd, senior pastor of the Cross Church of Springdale, Arkansas, as president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
That being said, Dr. Ronnie Floyd is elected to the office of the president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Thank you very much, Clint Presley, and thank you very much for your confidence in extending to me a second term as your president. And thank you for the encouragement that you are to my life. It is my great privilege today as the chair to recognize one of my dearest friends, Dr. O.S. Hawkins. He is the